Are you struggling to create the perfect listing for your products in Amazon Handmade? Well, I have great news today. I've got you covered, and we're gonna cover everything from crafting a title, putting in your keywords to make sure you show up in search, and all the things in between. So a couple of things that you're gonna need before we get started. Make sure you have your product photos. Those are gonna be needed for your images to show up in search and all the things. You have access to 9 images that you can put up in your product listing. And the first one has to be on a true white background, and you wanna make sure it's sized correctly. So we'll kind of get into that some more when we get to the photo part. And we're gonna do a full walkthrough. I'm gonna show you kind of behind the scenes of creating a new listing. So hopefully that will help you understand where everything needs to go. We will start from scratch, and just a short note about that. When you start from scratch, what appears on the screen is slightly different than once your product is listed and you're doing a copy from the product listing. So I'll kind of show you where it differs, and you can kind of see pretty quickly when you first open it up how it differs. You're gonna need your photos. You will also need to make sure that you have your shipping profiles, account information, tax information, bank account information, and all of that stuff from your account set up prior to doing a listing. Unlike Etsy, you have to have a shipping profile set up first so that you can select the shipping template that you will be using. You can't set this up while you're creating your product. I know on Etsy you can set it up as a separate item, or you can select a template from another thing, or you can create a template while you're doing the listing, but you can't do that in Amazon. It's in a different spot. So you're gonna wanna make sure that your shipping profiles, your return address, all those things are already filled in. If you're unsure about any of that, I have a video talking about your account information, and I will link that up in a card. But make sure that you've got all that information filled in and ready to go, so that when you create your listing, you're not fumbling around through different windows or different websites and Amazon maybe logging you out in between. I will say that here lately, I've had to do one-time passcodes and that kind of thing a lot with Amazon. I don't know what's going on, but it logs me out with, like, I don't know, 60 seconds of inactivity. Sometimes it will log me out. So just make sure you have all your stuff ready to go, so that when you go to do your listing, you can step through everything and it makes the process a little bit quicker. Now that we've talked about all the things that you need to do to get your listing started, because you need all that up front so that you can create it, let's talk about creating your product and walking through how to do that. The first one that I'm going to show and start with you will be listing your product completely from scratch. So I'm going to go in and show you how to add a product. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can go under the menu from the little hamburger icon, and from that you can select go into your catalog or inventory and add a product that way, or you can go to your manage all inventory page and just click add a product, and then we'll start with that. Once we create that product, I will show you how you can go in and copy a listing, so that if you're like me and you just have one type of product, like say you're just selling soap, then you can create one, you can go in, change the relevant fields, but all the other information is already pre-filled in and you don't have to start from scratch every single time. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The other thing that I would like to show you is there is an AI listing generator in the background that you can use. Obviously, the AI is better the more information you tell it, so make sure you're fully descriptive of the item that you're trying to sell. It will generate a lot of information on its own. There still may be some information you have to fill in yourself, like the weight and the size and that kind of thing. Also, make sure that with anything that is AI generated, that you're reviewing the information, you're reading it over, and you're making sure that it's accurate and represents your product correctly, so that your customers don't get upset if they see something and they order it and it's not what they expected.
So let's walk through how to create a listing. I have a new listing that I'm going to be creating that is for these star stickers. So I don't have anything similar to this, so I'm just going to start from scratch so you guys can see how to create this. And then once I get this listing created, I'll show you how to do a copy and edit that way, so that you don't have to start from scratch every time. So there's 2 ways you can start a listing. You can go here to this top menu here, and you can go to catalog and you can do add products. So that's one way to add. The other way is to go to your manage all inventory. These are favorited at the top. These are things that I use a lot. but you can get to this screen by going inventory, manage all inventory, or I think it automatically favorites this to be up here so that you can see it all the time. You can also go here and add products from this screen. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click add a product and it pulls up this page. And when you get here, this is how you would add a new product of any kind. So this is the standard Seller Central screen. We're going to go down here and say, I'm adding a handmade product. We're going to click on that. When we get there, we're going to select a product type. So you can see I have this starred. This is the one I use all the time, but I'm going to show you how to find this with your products. So you have all these handmade product options down here. These are the only options you have for handmade products. So if it doesn't fit in here, then you're going to need to create a regular listing and not be in the handmade store. So mine are going to fall under stationery and party supplies because it's stationery, and you have some options here. I'm going to go stationery again. And then you've got all these options. So appointment books and planners, books and journals, gift tags, all the things. So I've got stickers and I'm going to click select here. What you can do is once you get here and say, I know that I want to add some stamps, I can star this. You can star as many as you want and they will show up here in your favorites. So I'm just going to select this. And I am going to say that this listing experience is going to change. Amazon is working on moving everything out of where this says guild. It's not going to be guild anymore. So once it switches, I'll try to do an update video pretty quickly so that you guys can see the new listing experience and how that will differ. So the first thing you want to do is an item name. So this is going to be the title of your listing, and this is going to be how it appears in Amazon when someone does a search. So we also have this generate listing content, which you can use a short description, an image, or both, and you can try the AI to create the listing. So I will say the more information you give it, the better off you are and the better the information will be. Also, you do, like I said, need to review everything that it creates and make sure that it's accurate and complete and that it didn't leave anything out. The other thing you're going to want to do is over here where it says attributes, you're going to want to check all attributes so that you can fill everything in that is maybe required for your item. Sometimes it will leave some things out. So just make sure you've got this selected on all attributes and that will get you everything that you could possibly fill in and you won't miss anything. So before you can move on, you have to provide all this information. Once you have a brand name, like once you're brand registered, your brand names will appear here and you can select these pre-selected. If you do not have a brand name, you can just type this in exactly how you want it to be. And you can also select that this product does not have a brand name and you can list it as, I think it just says generic. So that is always an option as well. So we'll take this out and put Stormy Creatives back. So I've already worked on kind of what I want this listing to look like. So I'm gonna go over here to my other screen and I'm gonna pull this over so you guys can see how to do this. So one of the things that Amazon says to do is to put your brand name at the beginning, because if someone's searching for the brand name, it will look for it here, but you can also include it in the item name to try to bump it to the top. So this is a, I'm got Stored Be Creatives star rating stickers for planners and journaling. You get 2 sheets and there's 90 stickers per pack. So the other thing I want to add here for planners and journaling, and then I want to, let's go here. I'm going to pull up my Amazon stuff in another screen. I'm going to look at how it's listed on some of my other stuff too, because you can include more information than just that. So like some of my others say small lotus stickers for planners, yoga meditation icon. So you can also do icons. I can put for planners and journaling. So you could put reading and recipe journals. So I'll show you another way to get some more keywords in here too, but this is a good way to include some keywords and give some people an idea of how they could use these. Keep in mind that when people are searching on Amazon, they're gonna see on the search page, especially on their mobile devices, the picture is going to be really small and they're going to rely on this title to kind of give them an idea of what they're getting because you're going to see a really small picture, a title, and then a really big price. So if they see this as $9, they're going to be like, oh, it's just a sheet of stickers, where it's actually two sheets. So you make sure you like include everything so that they know exactly what they're getting in the title. And if you look, you can also look at some similar items in your category to see how other people have listed theirs. So I've got this on here. This product does not have any variations because there's no other options. You just get two sheets and they're very simple. If I was offering these in different colors, or if I was offering them, maybe some of them pre-filled in, like you could get ones that are already filled in with 1 star or 2 star, then you could add this as a variation. Now, you'll need to do this when you list the item initially. So you'll check this box and it adds it up here at the top that you can add a variation. So, and then depending on how you select these, you could have up to 3, I think, for the types of variations. It just depends on how you select them. So I'm going to turn that off because this one doesn't have any. And then now that I've got the title and this information, I can go next. And now we're going to fill in the product description. So this is where I have something pre-done, if I can find it. Okay. So for that, we have this description. So I will say that this description is not going to show on my product page because I'm going to add A+ content. Once you add A+ content, this description doesn't show up. If you don't have a brand store and you're not brand registered, then you will not have a storefront, and this description will show up on all your products. So you want to make sure that you do fill this in case for some reason your A+ content gets taken down. If you violate any of trademarks or anything, they will remove your A+ content. So you want to make sure that you have something here if it's not available. So then you're going to fill in your bullet points. So that's where I'm going to go back to another listing and see what I have on those. So we can copy this. And then each sticker sheet is that. Each sticker is approximately 1.5 inches wide. So you want to make sure that this is information that will be useful to your customer. I'm going to just double check this and make sure I'm correct in the 1.5 inches. Pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's 1.5. All right. And then you want to make sure you use all of these bullet points. So you can add up to 5, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe you can have more bullet points now. There was a time when we could only have 5. So it looks like you can add a ton of bullet points. So make sure you do at least 5. And then we're going to have, this one is going to say each sheet has 45 fun stickers to rate your favorite or not so favorite. Recipes and more. All right, so that gets you that one. And then I always put in here what the material is. So I print on just a matte white sticker paper. And then these, I always like to put what you can use them in. This gives people an idea of where they can use their products. If you're going to use them, in a monthly planner, weekly planner, daily planner, or journal. And then because we're handmade and we appear right along with every other listings, I always like to add this in. I do have the custom information selected that they can request custom orders, but I always like to have this in here in case they're not used to seeing handmade listings. They'll know that we can create custom products. I will say that because we can add more bullet points, I would definitely use them. But be careful in what you put in there and make sure that you don't violate any trademarks and that your information's correct and you don't get too many, because if you get too many, it's going to be hard to read. Okay, so you can add up to 9 images here. And I'm just going to say upload multiple. You can do them one at a time, but I highly recommend doing them all at once because sometimes it can take quite a minute for it to pull the photos over. So I'm going to go to where my photos are, and it's taking a minute. And I have a lot of photos, so I'm just going to search star. Um, Photos. I may have only a couple of photos, which is fine for now. So the first photo is going to be your main photo, and that's the one that you want to make sure is on a white background. I have this other photo, and these are the ones that I typically use on my websites because it has a marbled background and it kind of makes the sticker sheets stand out a little bit. What I would do is this is not a great main photo, mainly because it shows the whole sheet, and this is going to be really hard to see, especially on a mobile device where the photo is going to be really small. So I would try to zoom in a little bit, and typically my first photo is a zoomed in shot and it's a lot easier to see. So keep that in mind. I will come back and change these. You have up to 9 slots, and I would say you need to use at least 4 or 5 photos. So I definitely need to add some more, and I may take some pictures of where I've used it in my own personal journal and upload it here so people can kind of see how they look when they're filled in. So that's always a good way to show your products in use. So that's everything for this screen. When you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to say submit, but we're not done yet. So if you look up here, there's some exclamation points of things you need to fill in, and there's some other options here. So I'm going to go product details, and I'm going to take out these keywords. Manufacturer, you don't have to fill this in, but I'm going to put in myself because I make all these on my own. And I create the designs and print them and cut them and have them ready to go. So for keywords, I'm going to actually, so some things to keep in mind with your keywords. You only need to include the word once. So if you say daily planner, weekly planner, monthly planner, you don't need to do it that way. That's the way we would do it on Etsy, and you would do it as a tag. Here you just get one big box, and you can add more boxes if you need to. You really shouldn't need to unless you have an item that could be described a gazillion different ways. So you're going to want to put daily, weekly, monthly planner, journal. You don't want to repeat any words. So some I could do, okay, so you can repeat what's in your title. So I can do star rating, sticker, planner, journal, book, reading, functional, because it's for functional or decorative planning. So you don't want to repeat planner twice, but you can do planner, planning, plan because I don't know if it picks up all the different versions. And you don't get docked for including the word multiple times. It just uses your space and you don't need to have it there. So I can do goal tracking because it's also tracking. And then you can also do habit tracker. People might use these for habit trackers. Since there's 5, you could use it for like a weekly. I will say that you can use bullet, but you can't use the word bullet journal together. So I can do bullet and dot grid creative. Color in is an option that it's got here. I've never used that before, but we'll give it a shot and see. Movies, you could write movies. And recipes, I had that in there. Shows, TV. These could be used for a lot of different things, so just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing this. The other thing you can do is if your product makes a good gift, you could always come in here and add more, and you could create one that is specifically holiday related. so that you could add that in and not mess with what you've already created. So you could always do that around the holidays, is add that in. Um, but yeah, I think that's good for now. We'll give that a shot and see how it does. So a lot of times keywords are definitely trial and error, and we can keep an eye on that. So I don't have a seller SKU. So if you don't fill this in, Amazon will assign one for you, which is fine. I don't keep up with SKUs that much on the Amazon side. And I can't remember if I put one in my Shopify site. Let's see. I may have put one on Shopify and then I can use that one. I did $3.39. So what you can do is fill in this, and that just kind of helps you keep track of where it's at in your inventory. This doesn't affect Amazon at all. I'm going to just put in 100. You can definitely make sure the quantity is how you want it to be. So I can make a bunch of these at one time. If you're making candles and you make them in batches of 20, fill in 20. And once they sell out, then you can replenish them and change the quantity again so that they become available again. So just keep that in mind. Your handling time is going to be in days. So I'm going to put 4 because when someone places an order, if your handling time isn't filled in or it's set to 1, it's going to default to shipping that day or the day after. So make sure that you have a time limit filled in here so that it doesn't expect you to ship right away, especially if you can't. Minimum advertised price. Not sure what that's for. You want to put in your price. So I'm going to put in $9. And you want to make sure your price is filled in, obviously. And then if you're going to do a sale, this is where your sale price would show up. And if you're going to do a special like launch sale or whatever, and then the start date, we're just going to pick today. And then you want to pick your condition, it has to be new, and then your list price. So you want to set this equal to your price. So if you want to run a sale or do any coupons or deals, you have to have this list price filled in because this is how Amazon knows what your price should be. So when you go to Amazon and you see one that says $9 and it's like lined through and says, $4.99, that's where the list price comes from. It uses the list price to create that. And then when you create your product tax code, you always want to make sure that you fill this in, and most everything is going to be general tax, so you can fill that in. There's all these different tax codes that comes up, so make sure that you select the right one. And then the release date, we'll put in today. And if you want to provide a minimum order quantity, like I don't want someone to be able, or a maximum order quantity, so I don't want someone to order all 100 at one time, then I can fill this in to say I only want them to be able to purchase 5 at a time. I don't ever fill this in because it doesn't really affect me, but if you do have something like candles or something and you want to limit, they can only purchase 2, then you can do that. Gift options, this is where you can offer gift messages or gift wrap. I always say no on these because I don't offer gift wrap myself. And then this is where you're going to say that you're going to ship the item yourself or you're going to send them into Amazon. So I always ship them myself initially. And then for the item length, we're going to put 7. Item width is going to be 5. And this is going to be like 0.01. So this is going to be inches. And this is just how big your item is. And then your packaging dimensions is going to be the same. And then, well, no, my item pack is going to be, if I ship this, the item package size is, length is 9 by 7 and 3. 3, no. This is still like, we'll do 0.1. And then the packaged weight is going to be 3. Although that's not really right. The package weight, let's call it an ounce. And we're going to say an ounce. So this is hard because this needs to be the item of the weight plus the packaging. So this is hard for me because I use mailers. So if somebody orders just 1, then it's going to be 3 ounces. If they order 3 of them, it's probably only going to be 4 ounces. But this is where the whole like weighted shipping gets really awkward. So we'll just do it like this for now. And I'm not sure why it keeps saying it's an error. But anyway, so you got your country, your dangerous goods is not applicable for this. Item weight. Not sure where I'm having to fill this in. Like, I'm just gonna call it one. There is no Prop 65 warning on this. There's no pesticides, FCC, all these things. So you want to make sure that all this is filled in, and then you want to say submit. So once I click this, it should, well, maybe it's not. I don't know what it's doing. It's not submitting. Okay, so once you click submit, you can save as a draft. So I'm going to save it as a draft. Now it says something went wrong. Reload, because it logged me out. This has become a normal thing for Amazon. Let me just tell you, this is really annoying. And of course, every time I log in, I have to give them a code. So, and it's making me start over, I swear. Well, at least it's recorded. Okay, so we're going to cancel. Because it made me start over, I'm going to cancel. And since I have this recorded, I can go back and just fill it in the way I had it. But you're going to want to make sure you fill this all in. And then once you leave this page, you will not get this message. You will come back to your inventory page, and at the top here, it will say your listing has been created. It could take up to 15 minutes for it to be available. So just give it some time, let it generate in the system. Sometimes it can take longer. I've had it take longer just depending on how bogged down the system is and how many people are creating listings. So make sure that you give it some time to create. So let's talk about how to do one if you're not creating a brand new type of product and you want to edit. So I'm going to go down here to, let's just take these habit trackers, for instance. You can see this is like all your information about this particular item. If you come all the way over here to the side where the three dots are, you can edit your listing, you can manage your images and do all kinds of things. The other thing you can do is copy listing. And if we copy and come into here, what I can do is update all this information and change it over to my star rating stickers. And then I don't have to create a new listing from scratch. I do this a lot when I'm doing new listings because it's easier to have something already filled in. I don't have to copy in all of these bullet points. I can just use what's already there if it still applies. So that is something to keep in mind when you're creating listings, is that you can come in and copy a listing so that you don't have to start over. So hopefully that is a good overview of how to create your listings, and we can get into more specifics in another video.
So I hope you enjoyed seeing how to create a listing, and I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments box below. And if you're ready to get started on Amazon, be sure to grab my 3-step checklist that's free down in the description box below. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye!